Right then, chapter 4, called Triumph and Tragedy. Now, in this chapter, there's some Latin names of different leaders of different legions. So I had to do a bit of research to find out how to pronounce their Latin names. They're quite tricky. So when they pop up, I'll show you the Latin names and I'll try my best to pronounce them right. Spartacus decided to spend the winter months in the rebel camp at Thurii. Thurii is the name of a place, and I know that 'cause it's got a capital letter, where he used his knowledge of Roman battle techniques to train his new recruits. New recruits, we can word-snap that. He's giving them new techniques and new ways of fighting, and he's training up new recruits. Recruits means new people to the army. As spring arrived, the rebel leaders gathered to decide their next move. I say we cross the Apennine Mountains, then march north to the Alps, Spartacus said. From there we can all return to the freedom of our homelands. What that means, freedom of our homelands, means that they'll be able to go back to a place that they called home and they'll be able to be free. This map is good at showing us here's Thurii, and they've got to travel over this rocky mountainous area to get to the Alps, which are a region of mountains, and then they can all go in their different directions to their places that they'd call home. But Crixus looked uneasy. Oh, I think we could do a bit of inference there. Look a little bit closer at the clues. He's uneasy about the plan they've just made. So I'm thinking he's not happy with the plan. I'm going to make a bit of a prediction here. I'm going to predict that maybe he goes on to do his own plan. But Crixus looked uneasy. I'd rather take my chances here, he said. We've become so strong. We could live well if we stay alert. Spartacus would miss his friend, but he decided to move on without Crixus and his fellow Celts. So Crixus has gone off with the Celts that are in the army, and he's leading the Celts into a different direction. Spartacus and the remaining rebels began their long march across the Apennines. To begin with, the steep slopes were rugged and dusty. Progress was slow and hard. It was only as they moved north that the landscape started to become greener. You can see them all trudging along with their heads down. It doesn't look like they're very happy. They're looking like they're getting quite tired and weary. Weary is a word to say when you're really tired and it's taken a lot of effort to do something. When they approached the Adriatic coast, so the coast means they're coming towards an area with the sea, where the land meets the sea, the rebels had a shock. A Roman legion led by, and this is one of those Latin names, Gnaeus Clodianus, was lying in wait. Spartacus had lost none of his fighting spirit. We'll attack them head on, he ordered, which means he's still going to persevere and fight on, even though they've travelled a long way. The rebel army charged into the wall of Romans. Now, this doesn't mean there's an actual wall of Romans. It must mean that they've formed a wall by all packing close together. The rebel army charged into the wall of Romans. The battle was a hard one, but eventually Spartacus and his men were victorious. They didn't have long to regroup. A scout rushed up to Spartacus. There's another legion right behind us, he gasped. Commanded by, and we've got another Latin name here, Lucius Gellius Publicola. Spartacus ordered his men to turn and attack the approaching forces. Once again, the former slaves proved to be the better fighters, capturing hundreds more Romans. Battered and confused, the remains of Clodianus and Publicola's legions retreated to Rome. Now, we can look a bit closer at this. We can make an inference here. Battered and confused, the remains of Clodianus and Publicola's legions retreated home. So this word here has given us a clue. Remains. It means that there's not that many remaining. So lots of them have been killed off by Spartacus and his rebel army. Spartacus ordered all the Roman prisoners to be killed before heading north once more. Then a messenger brought terrible news. Before he'd caught up with Spartacus, Publicola had attacked Crixus and his army. 2,000 rebels had been killed, including Crixus himself. As he marched towards the Alps, Spartacus vowed to avenge his friend's death. Now avenge, let's word zap that. Spartacus vowed to avenge his friend's death. So something's gone wrong and now he's cross about it. Avenge, you might have seen that in the word Avengers. And Avengers are people that kind of want to get their own back if something's gone wrong, and you might know that from the movies. So that's what avenge means in this sentence, kind of inflict harm because harm has been inflicted on Crixus. This is a good point to make a prediction. If he wants to get revenge because Crixus has been killed, what do you think Spartacus's next move might be? And now we're on to chapter 5, a change of plan. I'm going to leave my bookmark there, and I think Mrs. Smith is going to continue for you.